What is up, my friends? How's it going? And welcome back to the final episode of our Let's Play series as Parthia with your fellow comrade Summary. In the previous episode, we had subjugated the BFE, and we were in the process of transferring over all our provinces that we do not require to our satrapies. So we have done that in the turn between turns because I didn't want to make this episode unnecessarily long. So as you can see, the Bituriges owns all of Gallia. Meanwhile, the Lusitanan owns all of Hispania. And if we quickly jump ahead and look at the cultural developments, you can see that the culture in these provinces are pretty much the culture that they need to be for the factions that control them. Meanwhile, we have managed to get these settlements off the factions that previously held them, so we are in the process of transferring them over to the BFA, and so we are going to go ahead and do that. Meanwhile, I wonder if we can get a trade agreement with them. The Bituriges seem to be a little bit unhappy with us for some reason, so we are going to go ahead, offer them some payment. Let's go ahead, keep all of our satrapies loyal until the end of the campaign. Meanwhile, the Erevashi is also disloyal, and as you can see, we are making, we do have 1.5 million sesterces in the bank, and that is really powerful. And with that, no longer will our satrapies ever be disloyal towards us. Meanwhile, the Basilicoiskidae are disloyal towards us, so we are going to go ahead and improve them as well. Need to do it for a couple more turns, get them to a little bit of a friendly stance with us. Don't want to go to war with the entirety of the Scythian faction. Keep improving their relationship of us as long as they are very friendly. That should be fine. Bactria has always been a troublesome vassal. However, we are going to go ahead and also improve the relationships with the Bactrians. And they are on neutral. We're going to keep paying them. Although we could just wipe out the Bactrians because they are no longer of any relevance. I mean, we do not need Greek hoplite anymore. We have the better Averni Argioi. That is much better as a frontline unit. And with that, it seems like the opinion of us has improved quite significantly. And just a quick look at all of our satrapies for now. As you can see, most of them are quite loyal with the exception of the Erevaci. Why is that? Gifts given. They kind of hate each other, which is a real shame. What we are going to do is just, however, try our level best to improve. And as you can see, Muscat and the Nasamones are also kind of disloyal, so don't want to fight with them. We are going to keep paying them. And have slightly improved their opinion of us. I have no idea as to why these factions kind of hate us. However, I am going to keep improving their opinion of us. Wonderful. And the Erevashi, we can go ahead, keep increasing your loyalty. This has made the Kushites a little bit disloyal, the Nasamones. We are going to improve your loyalty as well. We are dropping below that 1.5 million mark as we do this. However, it is quite necessary. I don't want any of my satrapies breaking free from me, especially in this finale episode. That would be kind of tragic. We have come a long way, as I will explain when we end this video. And meanwhile, we can also improve our relationships with the Kushites. Go ahead, keep improving. Send them some gifts. They are friendly. And we make them very friendly. Hopefully the Erevashi is a little bit disloyal because of that. However, we are going to go ahead and improve the loyalty with the Phoenices. And do it a couple of times until they are quite loyal of us. And they are also very friendly. Meanwhile, we are going to do this for one last time against the Erevaci. And with that, I think all of our satrapies should be loyal. However, Pontos and Lusistonan have dropped down as well. We are going to keep doing this. Get them all to a decently friendly status. We don't have a common enemy actually uniting us, and this is why our satrapies do tend to get a bit disloyal. So I might go and end this episode very short. I'm not going to keep it as long as possible because I do want to maximize our chance of holding on to our satrapies. It's just the Erevaci that's a bit problematic, and I should have actually declared war upon them without calling in my satrapies, and that would have kept them fairly loyal. Meanwhile, the Iceni are starting to get unfriendly with us. However, they will survive this campaign without our interference. Go ahead, improve with the Erevaci one last time. And for now, you can see all of our satraps like us, so that is pretty good. Meanwhile, we are slowly selling provinces to the BFE, so that is great. And our dignitaries are in the provinces they need to be in order to gain these provinces away from the Basilikoi Skyriai. I don't want them owning these random provinces that are not contiguous with their kingdom. So I am making an effort to kind of move my dignitaries to take those provinces away from them. And I believe I have another dignitary somewhere down here in Illyria. So we are going to go ahead, keep moving him towards Istros. And in a couple of turns, these dignitaries should be able to get the province away from them. I have used one of my high tier dignitaries to station himself in Kronos. And once I get this, I will transfer them over to the Lugos. I could, however, declare war against the Urgai. However, I don't want to do that. They do have armies really close to Petrodava. And as such, they could attack Petrodava, which isn't fully garrisoned because I just transferred it over to the BFE in the previous turn. Meanwhile, all the way in the east, our faction leader, Shahenshah Arsikes II the Great, he's Shahenshah of Iran, as well as Pharaoh of Egypt, Basilikoi of Greece, as well as Caesar of Italy. We are going to march him back to the capital province. And he has finally reached his hometown, and it is a well-deserved campaign for him, pretty much conquering almost all of the known world. However, without any further ado, let us go ahead, upgrade all the characters we can upgrade. We are going to go ahead and end the turn, before which we are also quickly going to check what we need over here is to improve our diplomatic standing with other factions. Well, let's go ahead and improve the empire maintenance. Although it's not really required, empire maintenance is at 0. There's nothing else we can improve. Quick look at our politics. All of our political rivals are quite friendly. We are at wary of the tribes, so we need to do actually is kind of marry off some characters, get some extra characters. Our family tree has grown a little bit, and as a result we are kind of suffering a bit with that political influence. So we are going to go ahead and simply start improving the provinces. Meanwhile, a couple of our characters can go ahead, keep getting married. And the more characters we have in our other parties, the more our influence will drop. This character over here can also level up, so let's go ahead, give him, or sorry, get married. So let's go ahead and get him married. Meanwhile, this character can also go on a mission to Asia. We have a lot of money to spend over here, so we can keep doing this consistently. We can go ahead and marry off this character as well. Try to get a lot more troops, or a lot more political party members. That should actually drop down our influence quite significantly. While this character can also go ahead and get married. Can go ahead and promote him as well. So let's do that. Let's keep doing all of that. Can keep promoting him. This should improve our economy for the next turn. We should be back up to 1.5 million in the next turn, as we are making 310,000 sesterces per turn. So that is quite good. Meanwhile, quick look at our politics. We are now at 47, so we are beloved of the tribes once again. And all our other parties are quite loyal towards us. Meanwhile, quick look, we can't level up any more characters. And also a quick look at our provinces. Most of our buildings are completely leveled up, with the exception of some temples here and there, especially the buildings that have been recently made due to the expansion of our provinces. So go ahead and upgrade those buildings. And with that, I am going to end the turn and see you all in the future when I get these two provinces from the Basilikoi Skythii. Alright, welcome back to the future. Daughter has come of age, child is born, and we have sold a province to a neutral stage. Let's have a quick look at our politics. This is going to be the final turn of the final episode of our Let's Play series as Parthia. And as you can see, we are beloved of the tribes. Just a 2% upkeep cost increase for all armies, that's nothing major. All our other parties are quite loyal towards us. In our summary, we do have maximum Imperium level, of course. We have been at that level for quite a while. Meanwhile, our faction leader is beloved. And we had gotten that faction leader to beloved because we had kind of assassinated the Arsacus I in favor of Arsacus II, and what a faction leader he has turned out to be. He is currently with 1000 gravitas and is stationed actually in his home province after conquering pretty much the entire known world. Meanwhile, looking over here in Dacia, we have managed to give all the provinces to our Dacian vassal, the BFE, and as such they do have the right culture over there. Meanwhile, our other satrapy, the Erevashi or Erevisi, does have or control the entirety of Pannonia. Our other satrapy, the Vindelici, does control the entire province of Raetia in Noricum. And as such, our empire is looking fantastic, and we can go ahead and call an end to this series. Meanwhile, up in the north, I have managed to give all of these provinces to the Lugios. They have fought bravely, and I didn't want to give the provinces to the Urgii. If you recollect, they had attacked us earlier on in the campaign, and they are at war with the Lugii, and I have actually strengthened the Lugii significantly. They are quite a major faction up in the north, and they will eventually, if I continue the campaign, destroy the Urgii. So it's good knowing that a faction that had hit us in the past will get hit. Meanwhile, in Western Germania, the Germans pretty much control. They are pretty much broken over here. However, these three factions are allies with the Lugos, and the only Gallic faction that is free is the Boii. However, meanwhile, in Britannia, we do have the Iceni in charge of the entire island. Keep in mind, they are a defensive ally of ours, and they do not like us a lot. I wonder if I can get a military alliance with them. And what if I pay you a fair bit, 1.6 million, and you still won't become a defensive ally or a military ally of us? And that is why sometimes I do like that Oakman's Easy Diplomacy submod. However, let's jump to the strategic overview map. And as you can see, we started out with a single province in Nisa. We moved westwards, conquered Parthia. Then we moved eastwards and subjugated Sranka while conquering the province of Heraiva. We fought a really good battle against the Bactrians, started to take all of their provinces, eventually subjugating them at Bactria and giving them the entire province of Bactria. Meanwhile, after that, we did attack the Mauryans and gave the entire province of Maka to our satrap Sranka. After which we conquered Carmania, Mada, Parsa, crowned ourselves the Shah of Shahs, after which we just simply had to take Seleucia and also subjugate the Haik. Meanwhile, we wiped out the Seleucids by taking Seleucia, after which we marched north into Anatolia, destroying the Pontic stronghold, subjugating them in the process. Meanwhile, the Udii were being a nuisance, so we went ahead and subjugated them as well. Eventually, we marched our way across the Hellespont after breaking a deadlock with the Thracian factions. We managed to conquer the entirety of the Balkans away from the Thracians, and then we also subjugated the Achaean League, after which we turned our attention up north into the Pontic steppe, and we subjugated the Basilikoi Scythii, and we gave them pretty much the entire province of Sarmatia, Bosphorus, as well as Scythia, meanwhile wiping out the Bosphorian kingdom off the face of the map. In the meantime, we also declared war against our long defensive ally, the Egyptians. They were just getting out of control and conquering Arabia Magna. Muscat had previously owned the entire peninsula. However, the Egyptians were pushing them back, and Muscat was pretty much down to its capital province, its homeland. We took the opportunity to invade and subjugate Muscat, returning all of its provinces back while fighting a war against the Egyptians, both in Arabia as well as Egyptos. Meanwhile, we also subjugated the Kushites down in Ethiopia, after which we conquered the last two remaining settlements of the Egyptians in the eastern two regions of the province of Libya. Meanwhile, while we did all of this, our long-standing defensive ally, the Romans, who had pretty much owned the entirety of the Western Roman Empire, save for the westernmost regions of Iberia and, of course, the Britannia, they had deteriorated their relationships with us, they had broken their defensive alliances with us, and they had broken a lot of other agreements that they had with us, finally culminating in their declaration of war against us. We made short work of the Romans, quickly pushing into Libya, Africa, subjugating the Nasamones in the process. Meanwhile, another group of our army invaded Cisalpine Gaul, marched down towards Latium, conquered Magna Graecia, allowing our other armies stationed in Macedonia to link up with our armies, push into Sicilia. We did manage to conquer Carthage, release it as the Phoenicians, slowly giving them the entire province of Africa. We did the same, conquering Capsa and releasing the Musulami, which is a Numidian faction, giving them the province of Numidia. Meanwhile, we also moved further west, conquering Mauritania, releasing the Tingis as a satrapy, giving them the entire province of Mauritania. And finally, our armies in Italia were ready to push into Roman-held Gaul, and simultaneously our armies in Mauritania moved in to assist the Lusitonan, which were our satrapy at the moment, from the brink of annihilation by the Romans. We managed to conquer all of Hispania from the Romans. Meanwhile, we also managed to release the Bituriges from the Romans and subjugate them, after which we managed to conquer the entirety of Gallia, wiping out the last Roman stronghold in Vesontio. And slowly but steadily, we started giving all of these regions and provinces to our satraps in the region, such as the Lusitanan and the Bituriges. Meanwhile, we also subjugated the Vindelici, gave him the entire province of Raetia in Noricum, and then we pushed eastwards into Pannonia, because by that point of time the Scordicii, actually another defensive ally of us, grew disloyal towards us and declared war against us. So we actually punished them severely by conquering Pannonia, subjugating the Irovaci, and giving them the entire province of Pannonia. Meanwhile, we also subjugated the Biefi and gave them the entire province of Dacia. So as you can see, our core empire is absolutely surrounded by our satrapies. In the east, we are surrounded by Bactria Mada, and in the south, we have Muscat, the Kushites, and in the southwest we have all of the African factions such as the Nasamones, Phoenicians, the Musulami, and the Tingis. In the far west we have the Bituriges as well as the Lusitonan, and in the north we have the Vindelici Pannonians as well as the Biefi and the Basilikoi Scythii. We also have in the center over here Pontus, Hake, and the Udii. So in total, we have managed to achieve the victory conditions that we set out to achieve. We have utterly destroyed Rome. However, at the same time, I did manage to form a satrapal empire that far exceeds the glory of the Achaemenids. And meanwhile, just quick count of how many satraps we actually have. Some of you were skeptical of how I manage a lot of satraps, and I actually have an insane amount of satraps. In fact, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 satraps, I believe. Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 satraps. That is correct. And pretty much if I go back to the diplomacy, you can see all of our satraps are fairly loyal towards us. They are all on friendly. I can make them super friendly by paying them a lot. Meanwhile, just a quick look at our provinces. Of course, our capital province is spec'd towards recruiting the best of the best horse units. And in fact, if we wait one more turn, we will even get better horse units, because stable number 4 gives +2 experience for cavalry recruits as opposed to +1 from stable level 3. However, as you can see, I have stacked up that charge bonus by building the warhorse breeding agricultural building, as well as the master horse trainer, which is a resource building in a horse province. Apart from that, I also have built the warhorse ranches. So if you are looking to build a province in which you will get insane cavalry, Parthia is one of the best. In fact, it is the absolute best, followed closely by, of course, Aquitania. However, Aquitania belongs to our satrapy, the Bituriges. And the reason being is because Lemonum also has the warhorse resource. Apart from that, any other province can be quite good for recruitment, as long as they have 4 regions in the province, as can be seen over here. Thracia is also quite good to recruit up cavalry, as well as Latium. Apart from that, let's move on to our food provinces. We have several food provinces such as Haraiva, which was our first food provinces. What you want to do over here is you want to stack farm estates as well as public order buildings. And apart from that, you can also stack granaries, because granaries do give just 4 food, but they do give an increased wealth from farming agriculture, as well as 30% wealth from agriculture. So as you can see over here, Haraiva is actually making 11,000 per turn, which is quite respectable for a province that is focused on food generation rather than economy. Our second food province was in the Fertile Crescent, and it was the province of Mesopotamia, when we claimed it as our own after crowning ourselves Shah of Shahs. And as you can see, in Mesopotamia we have followed pretty much the same thing, with the exception of we also were able to create a fishmonger port, as we do have 1 port settlement in Charax. However, as we kept pushing westwards, we also converted Macedonia into a food province. It does have 2 ports, and so we have gone ahead and made those into fishing ports. And finally, our food problems were solved once we conquered Sicilia. And now Sicilia is one of the best, if not the best, food province in the game. I do consider Africa to be the best, because it has 4 port settlements, which means you can get a lot of food. Each fishing ports give 10 food, with the exception, of course, of the level 4 fishing port, which gives 15 food. Meanwhile, as you can see over here, our farms are also giving 15 food each. One quick way to check which province is giving the maximum food is to take any character and send them on emissary to improve the food of province. Go ahead, click this button over here, and as you can see, Sicilia is at 69, even though it is only 3 regions as compared to Mesopotamia, which is 54. Macedonia and Haraiva are the least, of course, as they are not typically the best food provinces. However, when you are playing this far out in the east, you don't really have a lot of port settlements, and Haraiva is one of the best options in the game, if that is your starting location. However, speaking about food provinces, we are going to move on to our next type of province, which is basically our resource provinces. And in our resource provinces, we do want to favor building up those resource buildings which give more resources, such as 40 iron over here, versus the one that gives more income. As you can see, this only gives 10 iron, but 1250 manufacturing wealth from industry. And pretty much we want to stack sanitation buildings which give empire maintenance, as well as libraries that not only give 20% research rate but a whopping minus 1.5 to our empire maintenance, which basically factors into our economic provinces. And moving on to the meat of it all is our economic provinces. As you can see, our empire maintenance is at 0 because we stack those important buildings. Meanwhile, our governor generals have also gotten skills that improve their empire maintenance reduction, and as such our empire maintenance is quite low. Meanwhile, as you can see, um, Alexandria, or the province of Egyptos, is making 15,000 plus 11,000, that's 26,000. Let's actually do 11,000 plus 9,000, that's 20,000. 15 and about almost 15, that's 30,000. 30,000 plus 20,000 is 50,000. However, we are making 160,000 per turn in this province alone, and that is because we focused on our slave economy, which is why the slave trader is super important, as well as owning the slave resource can really make things a lot better. As you can see, we do get plus 45 wealth generated by slaves and minus 30% slave unrest in all provinces, which is really important to maintaining the public order in these provinces. As you can notice over here, our other provinces have really good public order, whereas our economic provinces are borderline towards decreasing public order. However, let's have a quick look at Egyptos in particular. Now, Egyptos can be made into a food province when it comes to income generation, and it can be made into a combo, as explained earlier on in this campaign, into a combo of commerce and industry, and that's what I went for over here. And since we don't have any good buildings, being an eastern faction, I focused on the cultural buildings over here in Egyptos, and that stacks nicely with the wonders that we have in Egyptos, such as the lighthouse of Alexandria, as well as the restored pyramids of Giza. And as such, we are making a lot of money from Egyptos. Egyptos is our richest province. It is gaining 162,852 sesterces per turn, and the taxation is on very low, minimal. Meanwhile, looking at Asia, Asia in my opinion is the best province. However, it gave a hard fight to Egypt, and it is not the best province, and that is simply because the eastern factions aren't really good with industrial income. However, if you're playing as a Hellenic faction or even the Roman faction, industrial province can be extremely powerful, because you can actually build 2 industrial buildings. I had to build a commerce building over here. However, you can build 2 industrial buildings as the Hellenic and Roman factions. Regardless, Asia is always going to be a really good province to own as an economical province, and they are making just about 20,000 sesterces less than Egyptos in this campaign. However, they do have 2 slots less in comparison to Egyptos, which does have almost all of its slots done, just the 1 slot remaining. Meanwhile, Egyptos can make even more income if it unlocks all of its slots. It's quite easily possible that we can get 200,000 sesterces in Egyptos in this campaign if we continue playing and gain all of our slots. Meanwhile, Asia can pretty much almost reach the same amount of income per turn. However, as you can see, our treasury, we have 1.627 million sesterces. We really don't need any money in this campaign. Our provinces are pretty much all leveled up. All of our buildings are leveled up, save for a few exceptions that are currently being built, and we don't have anything we need. And as far as our army upkeep is concerned, it's only at a minus 152,000 sesterces per turn, and that is because we have actually focused on army upkeep. And army upkeep is really important. As you can see over here, 15% upkeep is actually pretty massive. You might think it's not that big of a deal, but 15% of 152,000 sesterces is actually 20,000 sesterces, almost 22,000 sesterces to be precise, and that can make a big difference in the mid game, especially when you're not making 322,103 sesterces per turn. However, as you can see, If I do increase my taxation to even low, I'm making 350,000 sesterces per turn. If I put it on normal, in which I will get no penalties to my growth rate, I am making 370,000 sesterces per turn, almost 380. If I put it up to high, I'm making 400,007 sesterces. And if I put it up to extortionate, I am making almost 440,000 sesterces per turn, and that is almost 500,000 sesterces per turn. That is just simply how powerful slavers can be. As you can see, we actually in fact have more slave economy over here in Asia Minor. And that is because these buildings over here do give that wealth generation for slaves, and as such we are making more slaves, economy for slaves over here. Meanwhile, if you look at our food provinces and combine their income, you can see 25 plus 14,000 is actually 40,000, plus another couple of 10,000. That's like 55,000 just from our food provinces alone, because we are stacking up our food provinces to pump out more food. And finally, before I go ahead and end the video, we're going to have a very quick look at all of our provinces, especially the culture. As you can see, our cultural conversion is really good. We have pretty much dominant Parni culture in all of our provinces. Mosia at 88, Parsa at 76, Amada at 73, Mesopotamia at 60, which is just the borderline of being a dominant culture. Meanwhile, Palmyra at 83, Syria 68, 77 over here, 87 over here. And even though we own just one province in Bithynia at Pontus, which is Nicomedia, we have 55 Parni culture. And down here in the south, in Ptolemais Teron, we have just one province and we have 70% culture. And meanwhile, Egyptos has 74, Libya has 57. I'm a bit surprised by that, since we did own Libya for a long time. However, we do not have that many temples in this province, and once this unlocks, we can build another temple, and that should push them up to 60. Meanwhile, Macedonia is at 78. Asia itself is at 87. Thracia is at 64. Dalminium, or rather Illyria, is at 74. Cisalpina is at 71. Corsica, Sardinia, 74. Syracuse or Sicilia is at 72. 71 at Magna Graecia and 56 at Latium. So as you can see, we pretty much dominate culture in every single province of ours. And overall, it has been quite a lovely campaign. I have enjoyed the campaign thoroughly, and I do thank Cam for his update in 1.3.1 Divide Impera, for his overhaul of the Parthian faction. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to use any of our infantry units. The idea was to use the Parthian elite foot archers. They do have better armor than our Mauryan armored longbowmen. However, they do have only 175 men per unit, whereas the Mauryan longbowmen have 200 men per unit. So with an additional 4 units, that is 100 more archers. So that does make quite a significant difference. We didn't even use these spearmen. And one of the things about these spearmen, they are quite good. They come from second-class population. However, they do not have any formation attack, so they are pretty weak as frontline units. And infantry is really the weakness of Parthia. Meanwhile, another unit worth mentioning is this unit over here, the Parthian men-at-arms. Really good unit, good respectable melee armor penetration damage, a good respectable armor. However, of course, they do lack in the melee attack and defense department, which is why we opted for our Armenian legionaries, who do have 16 melee attack and, of course, 21 melee defense, which is insane. 43 armor. Also, keep in mind that that is due to the fact that we do have that army traditions and general skills for them. They do start out at 11 and 14, which is still better than the Parthian men-at-arms, and armor of 35. But what's the big deal is that they do have a lot of formations such as the defensive testudo and the defensive formation, which can come in handy should you need it to be used. However, one of the main units in our campaign were of course the Mauryan Tower Elephants. Those of you who have seen my Mauryan Let's Play series will know for a fact that these are one of the best, if not the best, elephant units that are spammable. Of course, the Mauryan Royal Elephants is the best elephant unit, but they only can be recruited as a general unit. And finally, for our frontline units, we use the late Gallic Noble Shield Wall. They are a phalanx type unit. They can form a shield wall. Initially, we were using Spartan Hoplite. They are one of the best phalanx units in the game. However, in my opinion, the late Gallic Noble Shield Wall are actually better. However, even better than these units, if you can go ahead and recruit, are the Scodicii version of these guys, because the Scodicii version of these guys actually use short pikes. So they are a shield wall unit, however, the entry of their weapon is short pike, so they will pretty much shred any phalanx type unit, be it a hoplite unit or a shield wall unit. The unit they will lose to, however, is other short pike units as well as long pike units, such as the ones held by the Hellenic factions. However, with that, I really thank you all for watching this series. I hope you all enjoyed the series, and if you like this episode, then please like the video and don't forget to subscribe if you are interested for more. Peace and love.